India and China sorted out differences.
Not
So
always.
yeah, it's happened 3 times. It's happened in 2020. It's happened before the SCO in 2022, and now it's happened 2024. So the agreement came out. Though we don't have all the details, but it's a fairly good agreement. So I think there is some amount of rationalization. For me, this actually, unlike him, it works. That two big neighbors our understanding, though we are awaiting the details, that finally that entire issue at Ladakh seems to be over. Now you can give and take that, look, we can't patrol till here, they can't patrol till here, this will be a buffer zone. We used to patrol, that is. But ultimately, there's also one more thing that's come in now in this new agreement, that their army, when they patrol in what is perceived to be their area, so we patrol in what is perceived to be their area. We will notify, and you're only allowed to patrol twice a month.
So can you please counsel Rahul Gandhi on this? Because
So
he's going to come out with
so
something.
once again,
this is what the army chief said. Tehseen, you can read it out.
Yeah. So in the first remarks on the agreement between New Delhi and Beijing over restoration of patrolling rights along the LOAC, the Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi has underlined the need for the Indian Army and the Chinese PLA to first restore trust in each other by not creeping into the buffer zone. So this has been agreed upon. So therefore, out now they'll have to tell you in advance who's coming and what is the patrol. And this has been limited to 14 people.
Disengagement, de-escalation and normal
it's gone back to
management
the
will
status
happen
quo.
later.
Much
It's
later.
not immediate, but first we have to, and he also said that restore trust.
Yes.
Before trust is not restored. Now that itself is a big ask.
You know, because the Chinese, in the south of Ladakh, were almost close to what you could say is some of our Indian territory. There's also a major military camp there, about a kilometer apart. For them now to go back, so you can say, look, we are not patrolling as much, they are not patrolling as much. But now with them having to tell us in advance, only 14 people allowed, only twice a month, that will reduce any clashes happening. I think this is good. I think big neighbors should not fight. We continue to have our differences with China. We'll sort them out. But I think this is
But
good.
Tehseen, as soon as Parliament opens, I think Abhijit,
That's the thing.
Abhijit and Anand will also testify to this. As soon as Parliament opens, the Congress party is going to go hammer and tongs.
So can I get
so
an
that's
answer to you that I
970
will amplify every time there is a dissociation from the truth. Do you or do you not believe that Prime Minister Modi was right when he said we have not ceded even an inch of our territory? Yes or no?
That I don't.
It's slightly complex. It cannot be yes or no answer. Because if we are, for example, not patrolling up to finger 8, which we used to, I'm just saying this in simple terms so they understand.
How do you
I'm not-
define your own territory?
Yeah, how do you... So then have you given up claims? But then his question is, how do you define your own territory? Then what about their claims till finger 1? So I think, so now you're saying we restrict ourselves to finger 2, they restrict themselves to finger 8, and that becomes a buffer zone. Now you have two ways of looking at it. You say, look, we've given up our claim on our territory. Okay. But that also means you don't lose life. So that 970 square...
No, how far are you going to keep giving up your claims
to not lose life.
Now,
not lose life?
the point to that is, how far do you keep giving up your claims so to not lose life?
My big problem is, even I am guilty of it. My big problem is that when I don't hear the Chinese say this. I only hear the Indians say this, differing perceptions of the LAC, right? So, and we keep talking about, this is our claim line, this is the Chinese claim line. Have the Chinese ever said that this is the Indian claim line? Right? I think
Badmaash
we are... badmaash nahi hai yaar. It is our colonized mind, our subjugated mind, which is still to break out of that mold in which it has been for hundreds of years now. Right? So we keep giving a certain leeway to the other side. And I can't understand why we do this. So when we say that...
Cutting across parties.
It's a Indian malady. It's not a party malady, right? It's an Indian malady. And this is a problem because we keep, in a manner of speaking, shooting ourselves in the foot by also articulating the position of the other side.
Yeah.
And I think it's so brainless that it's not funny. On this whole thing...
Can I ask you something to it? We had the heights at Kailash Heights. We occupied the heights after the Chinese came in. We were in a position of greater strength to negotiate. So then what you are saying is we should have been slightly more tougher rather than giving up our claims. Is that what you're saying?
No.
In layman terms.
A lot of people have a big problem in what the agreement was struck when we capped the Kailash Heights, because that is when the Chinese realized that they now need to come to the table, right? And should we have given up those heights for the agreement that was struck? And this is the other problem. And I'll take a minute and a half for this because I want to link it up with something else which is a rumor right now but might well be true. We have this proclivity of one, trying to get solutions to problems for which there are no solutions. Secondly, we also have this proclivity of, for very minor gains, giving up very major concessions.
Click here to watch the full episode.